Hey, good evening. Welcome to Environmental Coffee House. That was the week that was. And this week, I'm actually not going to go through a lot of articles. I did an interview with Dean Spillane Walker, author of The Impossible Conversation, and he is talking about the predicament we find ourselves in. But what I want to do tonight is I really want to read a comment that took me to an interesting place. And I thought, let's do this. Here we go. It's a little bit different, and there's no sound. Why do I have technical difficulties? There shouldn't be. Okay, tell me now. There shouldn't be. I have everything set. Okay, Jeff, you don't have sound. Marcia does. Good evening. Okay, we'll start over. So I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to read Mark J's comment on the video from YouTube. And where we go is going to be really kind of cool and different. And I'll say hello, Kim and Rochelle and Marcia and Jeff and Mindy. Here we go. Mark, take it away. I talked with Guy McPherson years ago, who generously gave me some of his time, and his prediction that we won't be here much longer was electrifying, to say the least. But I wasn't shocked. I've been watching the Earth die for decades, and I have never believed in this highly competitive, violent society in which values don't extend much past property and money. I didn't change my life after hearing that we might not be here much longer. Without money, I still have to work to feed myself. And dependents, I still have a mortgage, and money is needed. If one wants to get set up for more self-sufficiency, I live in a ground zero climate change catastrophe area, and I'm probably going to ride it out right here. What to do? Well, I'm not interested in hearing more about the problem. Almost everything suggests that we won't be here much longer. Almost everything, but not everything. There is a great positive shift taking place in human consciousness, even amidst collapsing paradigms. That's where I'm focusing my attention. Want a better world? Change oneself. You are the world. Krishnamurti. There are plenty of people who only look at the dark side of all of this. I'm not one of them. I choose to think positively about humanity's ability to reverse global warming and live in a sustainable way in this world. More and more, I'm keeping intellectual company with such visionaries as Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, and Joe Dispenza. Listen to what these men have to say. Possibilities, possibilities, possibilities. Human intention is a power without limitations. Human consciousness is a co-creator in the universe, as quantum physics has demonstrated in the laboratory and as sages have been teaching for thousands of years. Humans are capable of manifesting anything that they can imagine. Anything, because we embody the same divine power that set all of this in motion. Know thyself is the correct advice of every spiritual teacher. Now, I realize that many will jeer at my, quote, hopium, unquote, to use that ugly, disparaging term. Mark says, I don't care. The optimist and pessimist are both correct in that both are creating the world that they are envisioning. People need to understand and come to terms with that and decide about what kind of world they want to help manifest. It's spiritual law. Jeer if you must, but this is a world of causes and consequences, and the causes, for better or worse, all originate within our own consciousness. Anyone who thinks that he or she has an impact on the destiny of this world every day is simply dismissing the most important dynamics of reality. If one doesn't want to envision a beautiful, healthy world, he or she can at least spread a little love among people he or she encounters every day. That's not hard to do. And after all, love is the way forward. This is an exciting time in human history. I'm excited about it, even in the despair that I often feel. The existing paradigms have to go, and they are going. And with our backs against the wall, we will have to implement new ones. The final chapter hasn't been written, and each of us is writing it in our actions and in our way of thinking. That most of humanity is not aware of the latter dynamic is a real tragedy. We may be on our way out, but I'm not going to go without the realization that we have the power to manifest a different outcome. People need the way to wake up and empower themselves. And by the way, we need to stop eating animals, as Gandhi advised. Start with that. It's not difficult to do. I just had to say that. It's an enormously destructive practice to the earth and one's spirituality. If we're not going to talk about reverence for our life or for life as our core value, then all other conversation is useless. Good interview, Sandy. Well, that led me to Dr. Joe Dispenza. And Dr. Joe Dispenza is, I'll read you a little bit of background, and then I'm going to play a clip. And actually, this clip will work the way I have it set up. Dr. Joe Dispenza, he studied biochemistry at Rutgers in New Jersey, and he has a bachelor's of science degree with an emphasis in neuroscience, and also received his doctor of chiropractic degree at Life University in Atlanta, Georgia, graduating magna cum laude. Pretty cool guy. I have to say, Mark led me here, and I'm really glad he did, because I have a background. My undergrad was in psychology. I was planning on going for my PhD, and I was going to be a clinical psychologist, and I loved neuroscience. I loved all of the stuff that had to do with the brain. And evidently, so does Dr. Dispenza. And I have just started listening to his videos. His approach, taught in a very simple method, creates a bridge between true human potential and the latest scientific theories of neuroplasticity. He explains how thinking in new ways, as well as changing beliefs, can literally rewire one's brain. The premise of his work is founded in his total conviction that every person on this planet has within them the latent potential of greatness and true unlimited abilities. Now, let me tell you something. In this time that we're in, this stuff is important. And we have to nurture ourselves, and we have to heal ourselves. And I'm in a process of healing myself. And it's just so appropriate that now that I'm in this process, I'm finding someone who, and others probably, who, apart from what I study all the time in climate and environment, is going to nurture my brain and help me heal. I was in human resources. I never became that clinician. I never did. But you know what? I helped people in another way. I helped them with their paychecks and their human resources needs and their complaints and their benefits. And it was an amazing run. It really was. It was different. But this guy, it's very interesting. And he says his new book, Evolve Your Brain, The Science of Changing Your Mind, connects the subjects of thought and consciousness with the brain, the mind, and the body. So critical for those of us that are hurting on a daily basis or in chronic pain, and that we need to change, even our own paradigm surrounding us. And it'll help us with all the things that we read and that we experience every day in this predicament we find ourselves in. The book explores the biology of change. That is, when we truly change our mind, there is a physical evidence of change in the brain. I am turned on to this. Of course, I am turned on to everything that has a science background, and it is just always taking me on these amazing journeys. It is. And I thank God that I don't have to leave my house most of the time to do it. I have the technology, even though my wireless can be shitty sometimes. It's right here for me. A lot different than I was in college at the first time and the second time and the third time. I mean, I have went 3 different times and had 3 different degrees, but here we go. So in his research into spontaneous remissions, Dr. Dispenza has found similarities in people who have experienced so-called miraculous healings, showing that they have actually changed their mind, which then changed their health. And isn't that something we all could use? I just went through, this is a personal journey for me here. I just went through getting off big pharma, getting off medication, having to change, having to feel every pain, resulting in a surgery that maybe if I could follow Joe closely, I may not need, but actually I have to get because I am, as I said before, a bobblehead. But I think a lot of you can relate to what I'm talking about here. And that our brain is a very, very, very strong. And we have to program our brains. And Mary says, hi, Mary. She says, I'm a science neurology nerd too. I love it. I do. I got into climate change. I got into a lot of these things, but the journey is never over for me, and nor should it be for any of you. So I want to play this really quickly. One of the scientists, researchers, and teachers featured in an award-winning film, What the Bleep Do We Know? Dr. Dispenza is often remembered for his comments on how a person can create their day, which he discussed in the film. He also has guest appearances in the theatrical director's cut, What the Bleep, Down the Rabbit Hole. So interesting. And he also talks about quantum physics, which I have done a little dallying into, not much. But let's listen to this. And I'm going to...
I feel when I challenge a lot of belief systems, I hear the same thing. There's this emotional attachment to this belief. And so I try to figure out, why is it that I believe? Because I don't believe as much anymore based on what we're talking about.
Because the answer is in the question. We do have beliefs that feel good to us because those beliefs are based on past experiences, and those emotions keep us attached to the belief chemically. It's in our biology. And we tend to think neurologically and feel chemically within experiences then that are connected to the past. So when our beliefs are challenged, we hold on to the emotion, like Jesus had a brother. What? Mm-hmm. That doesn't feel right. He was married to Mary Magdalene. What? People freak out because they've been conditioned, and they want to hold on to that because that then ensures a future that they can rely on. When you step out of your belief systems and stepping into the unknown, you are now leaving behind your past. And then, do you have the faculty and the ability to create? Do you have that ability? If not, because then in order for you to go from that old belief to a new belief, then you better have a plan, and you better be willing to have a new experience that is no longer a wishy-washy belief. It has to be a very strong impression in your biology, which comes with an accompanying experience that then changes your biology to understand you believe something else. But that's not the end either, because then you have to question from that point, what is the next belief that helps you to understand the next thing? For example, let's talk about it on 2 levels, and time out here for a second.
We're going to take time out. I really liked this video. It was really good. And it's the beginning of a journey. It is totally the beginning of a journey. And I hope that those of you who are experiencing things in your life that are challenging, as we do every day with climate change and politics and what's going on that's unbelievably crazy around us in the United States and Canada. Look at politically the G7, this guy, our president in the United States is just alienating everyone. So many things. And here we find new people. And here we find maybe people that could just listen to us and lift ourselves out of depressions or pain. Mine is completely physical pain, as a lot of you have. And I'm going to take a journey of a healing spiritual journey because it's that time of my life where I need to. So I can continue this with all of you. So I urge you to maybe check out Dr. Dispenza, at least watch a couple of videos. And the other people that were mentioned in the comment I read from Mark. And he didn't end there, actually. Mark did not end there. Mark still had another comment because I wrote back to him, and I'll just end with the rest of Mark. He said, and I said, I don't disagree, Mark, and I have hopium built in, and I don't look at hopium in a negative way, that word. I don't. And he said, the greatest power we have in dealing with this crisis of climate change is the power of human intention. It's remarkable that in discussions all over the internet that this is rarely discussed. Thankfully, people like Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, and Bruce Lipton are discussing it. They're not talking about how we can cope with burning the house. They're talking about how we can put the fire out. I'm not invalidating the value of discussions about how we can cope with what may be our inevitable demise. I'm only saying that I choose to learn everything I can about the human potential and how it can solve any problem. And make no mistake about it, the solution to any problem exists in the quantum field, and which we're inextricably connected. What remains is for humanity to live in such a way, i.e. cooperatively and lovingly, so that we can listen. We have to abandon arrogance and ego, and we have to listen. Einstein knew that. He knew that his brain did not come up with his revelations. The brain is the recipient of consciousness, not the creator of consciousness. The current destruction of the planet is tragic. The greater tragedy is that humanity remains unaware of what it is, of what it could accomplish. We have proved that we have the power to destroy the earth, which proves that we have the power to heal it. It's that simple. Ignorance of what we are and of our potential is the real crisis. When large numbers of people realize that, we will move forward. Namaste, Sandy. Mark is amazing. And I had asked him if he would write for our website. His writing is prolific and he is really cool. So let's take a couple of comments before I say goodbye. And hi, Marcia. It's so nice to see you here, Marcia. Absolutely like a relief. It's great. Really important topic, neuroplasticity. Yeah, it is. And it's bringing back for me all of the excitement that I had with my undergrad in psychology. And then I was studying to be a CAC, which was a certified alcoholism counselor, but I did not go through with that. I did not. I ended up working. Let's see. Heidi. Hi, Sandy. Sending love and prayers and invites. I don't know if you saw my post about Mr. Rogers and the losses of Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain and suicide prevention and mental health issues. So this is so appropriate. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Oh, Heidi, thank you. Thank you. I think maybe it was appropriate. I stumbled upon it, but we're going to look at these people and we'll see where it goes, right? And all we can do is love ourselves and try to constantly change, grow, heal ourselves. It's not easy. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for any of us. But what do we have? We can wallow in negativity. I choose not to also. Join me. Peace, everybody. Good night.